Hello and welcome to the Hexagon. I'm Ellen Wiles, and in each episode of this series I invite a guest to tell me about their top 5 arts and culture tips for life under lockdown and beyond, and I offer a 6th tip myself. I'm delighted to welcome my guest for today, who is Sarah Campbell. Sarah is the Associate Director for Arts and Culture at Exeter University. She's worked in a range of arts and culture venues around the UK, spanning large nationals like the Victoria and Albert Museum to regional institutions and university-based collections. Sarah was awarded a Winston Churchill Memorial Trust Travelling Fellowship in 2016, which enabled her to spend a month in the US exploring the creativity of art museum educators and innovations in art museum programming. Ever since, Sarah's been a keen champion of creative thinking and processes, a fascination that has been put to great use at Exeter, where the Arts and Culture programme aims to activate creativity. So welcome, Sarah. I wonder if you could start off by briefly telling me how the lockdown has been for you. Have you managed to find much time for arts and culture outside of work?
It's been longer than I had perhaps first anticipated. You know, there's a sort of a novelty shock value in those first few weeks, and here we are several months later and looking at several months ahead of us. It has been a really interesting opportunity to shift how we work. You know, no one sort of has asked for this opportunity, but needing to find ways to engage with audiences more digitally and make use of Zoom in creative ways like you're doing with this project has been amazing. I don't think we would have gone as far as quickly if we hadn't been forced to, really. So there's been some really good learning out of it.
Absolutely.
And of course,
the linings.
The frustrations of doing everything remotely, but some good stuff too.
Great. And what are some highlights of your working life this year, perhaps beyond lockdown, before that? Yeah,
so I've only been in post about 18 months now, and the role when I came in was there'd been a huge amount of work done on creating a new arts and culture strategy for the university, and it's lovely to join a really great team and to help kind of put flesh on the bone and turn this into a larger program. And so a key part of that was revisiting the brand and the website, because that is our sort of shop window. And it was really interesting to go through a process of workshops with a design agency and think about our ethos and kind of what we stand for, what's our really core principles, what's important to us, and then how you then translate that visually and how you kind of feed that through everything that you do. And we were incredibly fortunate that we completed this process literally a week before the university shut down. So that was just a bit of a gift, really.
Well, congratulations on that work. I mean, I've already recommended the website to people on this series, and it's and we'll post a link below this episode. It looks fantastic. It's really worth all that effort. So it's great, and it was lovely for me as a creative practitioner as well as academic coming to Exeter to see this programme so thriving and growing. So it's really great to know about it. So I think it's time now for your first arts and culture tip for today. So what's it going to be and why are you recommending it?
Yes, so I'm very biased because it's one of our own projects, but shamelessly I'm going to plug it anyway. So we ran a program called Hyperlocal when we first went into lockdown, and it was 10 small commissions for artists living in Devon and Cornwall. And we wanted them to respond to the brief of creating work inspired by their immediate domestic environment. So speaking to that moment of kind of going into lockdown. And we received a huge number, so over 200 submissions. And the 10 that we then supported to develop their work, we've now shared all 10 of these on the Arts and Culture website. And I just love them, you know, like it speaks to such a particular moment, and we have photography and sound and moving image and puppetry and stories of lots of different experiences. So what it is for a parent, what it is when you're living by yourself in lockdown, what it is to be a student, and it's a really rich resource that I hope people enjoy exploring.
Yeah, great and timely link. I definitely recommend everyone clicks on that. Again, we'll put a link below. Thank you. And how about your second tip for today?
So Exeter Phoenix is, folk who live in Exeter know, is this amazing multi-art centre right in the middle of town. It's actually where the university was there back in the day before we moved up the hill.
All right.
And they've done really stellar work of moving their program online. And so they've got virtual film screenings and Q&As, and I've been to theatre shows that have done really innovative things with digital. And they have now got their outdoor terrace open. So I think if you're looking for something to sort of do online and support the local cultural sector, they would be a top pick.
Great, yeah. Any highlights of the online offering that you'd want to?
There was, a key show we went to was called, I think, The House Always Wins, and which was, I don't go to casinos, I don't know how to gamble, but you learn how to do blackjack, and you have this live game where you're playing with the other members of the audience, and it has a message around the climate crisis and the impact on the environment that sort of goes with that. And it was really fun and really quick. And
great, that's amazing that worked online. Sounds brilliant. And how about your third tip for today?
So my third tip, again, staying local, there is this fantastic group called Agile Rabbit that program really interesting talks across the sciences and the arts. And it's run by artist John Puckey and academic Kate Baker. And their online program, so they've got Noam Chomsky speaking in September, and I saw him 20 years ago when I was a student, and he's an extraordinary man, and if you haven't read Deterring Democracy, you have to. And also in September, Gajendra Singh, who's an Exeter academic, is giving a talk titled Empire Strikes Back, Why Imperialism Matters. And I suppose for me, I want to plug his talk, but I also think it's a real opportunity in lockdown to engage with learning around Black Lives Matter. And there's so much online and so much you can read and so much you can engage with to challenge your own thinking and perhaps broaden your mind a bit. And I think that these sorts of opportunities are great.
Yeah, no, it's a really good series of talks, and in fact Gajendra is due to be on this series too, so viewers will have more opportunity to see him, so that's great. And how about your fourth tip for today?
So my fourth tip is really old school. I discovered on the BBC on iPlayer they have the series called Talking Pictures, and it's where they put together collections of footage of interviews, often from the sort of 70s and 80s, speaking to actors who were sort of having their careers from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And it's like watching slow television. You know, there's more time, everything's more paced, there's more substance, and it's all pre-social media. So people speak very openly and they really kind of delve into the craft. Some of the questions towards the women have not dated well. So you sort of need to look past that. But it's just very gentle telly. Which I like enormously.
Great, I hadn't come across that. That's a really good tip. And your final fifth tip for today, what's that going to be?
Yes, so this is something that's not online, but I know usually save for Christmas, but I've been doing a lot of in lockdown is puzzles. I just love a jigsaw puzzle like you wouldn't believe. And I have visual aids here. So I can highly recommend.
Oh, the Moomins. Love the Moomins.
You've got to love Moomin, and it's a really lovely one because there's a huge amount of variety there and there's lots to keep you happy. Another one I've done recently, which I would not recommend quite so highly, is from this sort of 19th century sort of impressionistic ballroom, and it kept me occupied. But what I've learned about a puzzle based on impressionistic painting is every single square looks like every single other square.
It's going to say the watercolour texture is not going to be helpful.
It could be dress, it could be floor, it could be ceiling. And so if you want a real challenge, go that way. If you just want a nice, happy, straightforward puzzle, stick with the Moomins would be my top tip.
I think, yeah, my level of puzzle ability, Moomins would be plenty for me. That sounds great. Nice lockdown therapy. All right, thank you. Well, so my tip for this episode, to bring us up to 6, is a book that I'd like to recommend, also by a writer who's local to Exeter. It's called The Grassling. I'm going to hold up a copy there. And it's a geological memoir. So it's written by Elizabeth Jane Burnett, and she is an eco-poet and a writer of English and Kenyan heritage, and she grew up in Devon. And it's a really lush and immersive read. It explores her relationship with the rural landscape around Exeter, especially near the village of Ide, where she lived as a child. And she wrote it while her father was dying, as she made these trips back and forth to visit him, travelling between Devon and Birmingham, where she now lives and teaches creative writing. And the narrative is really original in form, so it weaves in poetry and experimental writing with really evocative and sensory writing about place. And it can also be seen as an activist book in the best kind of way. So it's replete with really light touch reflections on ecology and climate change, like particularly the neglected importance of our degraded soil to humanity and the wealth of life that's hidden under the ground that we walk on. So I think it's a really beautiful and important book, and it's got a lovely cover, and it's a slim book. So for people like me who've got little reading time at the moment, that's also perhaps a point in favour of it. And as a bonus, I'd also recommend her first collection of poems, Swims, which is about wild swimming around Exeter and also has an ecological orientation. So that's it, I think, for today. Thank you so much for joining and sharing your recommendations, Sarah. And thanks to all of you for watching. I hope that some of these arts and culture tips will inspire you wherever you are and however locked down you are right now. And I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.